I've tested a lot of lasers over the years, but this one's on a whole new level. Meet the ComMarker Omni X UV 5-watt laser engraver, a machine that can do projects none of my other lasers can touch. It's opening the door to a whole new line of products that I can make and sell, things that have very little competition because almost no one else can do what this machine can. For the first time, 3D engraving inside glass isn't just possible, it's simple and affordable enough for hobby crafters to do right at home. And it doesn't stop there. The Omni X can engrave on wood, leather, stainless steel, clear acrylic, clear glass, and over 1,500 different materials. Quick note before we jump in, ComMarker sent me this machine so I could test it out and share my honest thoughts with you. They also sent me this super nice apron I'm wearing. It says ComMarker and Cricketer, which actually was my old channel name before I recently rebranded it to Carrie Crafts It. I changed the name because when I started my channel, it was all about Cricut crafts. But now I share so much more, like laser engraving, sublimation, DTF printing, and other ways to grow a crafting business. But I still love Cricut machines. In fact, I just wrote and published Cricut for Dummies behind me this summer. If you have a Cricut, know someone who does, or you've been thinking about getting one, you can grab the book wherever books are sold. I'll leave a link in the video description, along with a link to the ComMarker if you'd like to check out their website. Since I'm an affiliate, I'll earn a small commission at no extra cost to you if you make a purchase through my link. I might even use my new X-Tool apparel printer that's coming this week to add my updated channel name to the apron. Turn on notifications so you don't miss those new projects when I share them. And huge thanks to ComMarker for the laser, the apron, and for sponsoring this video. In this video, I'm going to show you how a UV laser is different from popular diode and CO2 lasers, give you a tour of the Omni X and its coolest features, share real project results on metal, wood, clear acrylic, and glass, and of course, show you the jaw-dropping 3D glass engravings I made that you can see spinning right next to me. I've been testing this laser on all kinds of materials. Here's what I've done so far. I wanted to see how it handled metal, so I started with some beer bottle openers for my husband. First, I engraved a Beer Me design. This machine doesn't use a camera to line up your design, but it projects an outline of your design onto your blank so you can check where it'll land. It also came with this green transparent paddle because the outline is invisible without using it. And it really helps you see and adjust your placement before you start engraving. It came out nice, but a little light and the placement was off. I flipped the bottle opener over, upped the settings, and got a deeper, darker engraving the second time. This made me wonder, could I mix two settings into one design for shading? So I grabbed another bottle opener and tried a soccer dad design. Darker spots for the dark parts of the ball and lighter spots for the rest. It worked and it looked really neat. I also grabbed a black metal business card and played with engraving my logo in different spots. The shading didn't change much between the different tests, but the contrast against the black metal looked nice and professional. Next, I tried engraving and cutting basswood, and the results honestly blew me away compared to what I'm used to with traditional diode lasers. I made a little T-Rex design for my son, and the cuts came out clean and smooth, no black charring around the edges, nothing to scrub off later. The engraving itself was crisp and detailed, and you can actually see the natural wood grain shining through the design. It gives the finished piece this gorgeous, almost hand-carved look straight off the laser. At first, the burn was light, so I tested a few settings and got medium, dark, and extra dark passes. The results were smooth and crisp every time. No smoky charred marks, except maybe minimally on the super dark one. And it cut through basswood like butter. After that, I tested clear acrylic. No laser marking spray, no tempera paint, just pop it in and go. The engravings came out frosty white, clean, and sharp. I loved skipping the messy prep work completely and having to wait for it to dry, clean it off. I don't like that. And finally, the feature that completely blew me away, true 3D engraving inside glass. If you've ever walked through a mall during the holidays, before the malls were dead, at least in my area, you might remember those little kiosks selling glowing glass blocks with little statues or photos floating inside. I used to stand there fascinated, wondering how they got an image inside solid glass like that. Back then, the machines cost tens of thousands of dollars, totally out of reach for hobby crafters. But fast forward to today, with the Omni X, you can make those stunning pieces right at home. And you can do it for just a fraction of what those old machines cost. We'll talk more about pricing later in this video, but trust me, it's nowhere near those $30,000 machines. Here's how 3D glass engraving works with a UV laser. You load a 3D model file called an STL file, and the UV laser engraves tiny points deep inside the glass. Point by point, layer by layer, it builds your design in the crystal without touching the surface. If you're wondering where to find those 3D glass files called STL files, I would recommend checking out Creative Fabrica. They're my go-to place. They have tons of ready-to-engrave 3D STL files, plus fonts, SVGs, laser files. If you're not a subscriber yet, it's totally worth it. I could not imagine doing what I do without Creative Fabrica. I use it for sublimation, print on demand, laser engraving, mock-ups, everything. And it's super affordable. It's only $3.99 a month, which is cheaper than most individual files on Etsy. This is my favorite place to scroll around when I'm looking for new laser engraving project ideas and inspiration. So first, I made a Star Wars ship for my husband, and the detail is unreal. You can see every little groove and panel, and because it's engraved inside the glass, it looks like a collectible statue floating in midair. Turn it around, and the design is perfect from every angle. Then I tried something for Halloween, a stack of spooky skulls. On a color-changing lighted base, they shift from red to blue to green, almost glowing like they're alive. It's the kind of piece you'd proudly display at a party because it instantly grabs attention. After seeing how epic the 3D glass engravings came out, I was really excited to try it with a photo. I turned our wedding picture into a floating 3D image inside a square glass cube. You can choose where the image sits, near the top or floating deep in the center. I left a space at the bottom where I plan to add our names and date. Every time I hold one up and turn it in the light, people ask, how the heck did you do that? If you had this UV laser, what's the first thing you'd engrave? Would you make a keepsake cube, try a cool metal project, or engrave a favorite photo? Tell me in the comments. I love reading your ideas. So how does a UV laser work, and why would you want one? UV lasers like the ComMarker Omni X use ultraviolet light to change the surface of a material through a chemical reaction instead of heat. Think of it like how sunlight slowly fades the color out of paper or clothing. The light itself changes the material, not heat. Because it's a cold process, you get way less burning, scorching, melting, or damage to delicate surfaces. Now compare that to a diode laser. Diode lasers use a powerful beam of regular light, basically a super strong hot laser pointer. They burn and melt the top layer of the material with heat. This is the most common type of laser for hobby crafters, and it literally works by burning away the surface. UV lasers can engrave on almost anything, even tricky materials like bare metals, clear and 3D glass, and clear acrylic. Diode lasers work best on wood, leather, paper, and darker acrylics. They struggle with clear glass, clear acrylic, and shiny metals. To make those work, you usually need messy hacks like paint or marking spray, and even then, the results can be hit or miss. UV lasers can do everything a diode laser can and a lot more. They also create incredibly fine details, which is huge for photo engraving. Diode lasers can still make nice detail for crafts, but they're not nearly as sharp, especially for photos. For example, a diode laser spot size is about 0.1 millimeters, while the ComMarker Omni X is only 0.0019 millimeters. That tiny spot size is what makes photo engravings look so crisp and realistic. And here's the biggest wow factor. UV lasers can engrave inside glass and crystal to create those amazing floating 3D images. Diode lasers can only engrave on the surface. Now let's dive into the features that make this machine so impressive. It's fully enclosed, which means you can watch it in action safely without having to wear those annoying goggles. The enclosure also vents fumes outside, so you're not breathing in anything you don't want to. I hooked my machine up to a booster fan, which helps blow the air out even more out the window. This is a big upgrade from its predecessor, the ComMarker Omni 1, which didn't have a built-in enclosure. It has autofocus built right in. All you do is place your item inside, and the Omni X automatically finds the perfect height for you. It also uses zero burn technology, so there's no charred edges, no fire risk, and no burnt smell while you work. On top of that, it's surprisingly quiet thanks to its cooling system. You can run it with ComMarker's easy software or stick with Lightburn if that's what you prefer. Even though this machine is pretty small, it can still handle those larger projects. With the slide extension, the Omni X gives you a maximum working range of 150 by 400 millimeters. That's about 5.9 by 15.7 inches. Plus, it has smooth roll 360 engraving, which is a fancy way of saying that it can handle rotary projects. You can engrave on cylinders, spheres, and even rings. Think laser engraving projects like tumblers, wine glasses, rings, and more. If you're wondering what one of these machines costs, the ComMarker Omni X is currently on sale for $4,599 right now, marked down from the original price of $5,299. That's thousands less than what these machines used to cost, and honestly, crazy for what it can do. I'll drop my affiliate link in the description so you can check it out and grab the sale price while it's still live. If you're ready to try UV engraving, grab the ComMarker Omni X through my link below. And while you're there, check out Creative Fabrica to get ideas for your next laser engraving or 3D glass engraving project. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss more UV laser tips, tutorials, and cool projects coming soon. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.